This is the Financially Simple Podcast, a show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. And now, here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
Welcome to Financially Simple, and this is a finance show for small business owners about money, how it works in our business and personal lives, and how we can build wealth to be financially independent. I'm your host, Justin Goodbread. Today is episode number 47. Today's episode is titled, Build Your Dream Team. Now, maybe you've never heard that term dream team before, but if you're over the age of 35, more than likely the term dream team can conjure up some memories. Memories of Larry Bird running down the court alongside Magic Johnson while throwing up an alley-oop, if you will, to Michael Jordan. The first time ever, back in the Olympics in 1992, the Olympics allowed professional players to play. And nonetheless, the NBA, the National Basketball Association, built the Dream Team. And this Dream Team went on to literally crush the competition. On this Dream Team, you had Larry Bird, you had Magic Johnson, you did have Michael Jordan, but you also had Charles Barkley, you had Karl Malone, Kyle Drexler, John Stockton, Scottie Pippen, Chris Mullin, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing. I mean, this was a powerhouse team. You even had Christian Lathaner. Together, the team more than dominated. I mean, they stomped the daylights out of the opponents. They averaged 44 points. Coach Chuck Daly said it was like Elvis and the Beatles together. Traveling with a dream team was like traveling with 12 rock stars. That's all I can compare it to. Opponents never stood a chance. In fact, many times the opponents would just be seen just standing beside the team members waiting for someone to snap a photo of them. Daly reflected at one time, he said they knew they were paying the world's best. In fact, they could go home the rest of their lives and tell their kids, I played against Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. I mean, what do you think about it? Just to be able to get on the court with these guys, it would have been fun. What was interesting is the Dream Team, they dominated so much so. Well, here we are now going to turn that to business. When the NBA was looking to assign the Dream Team players, they conducted and delivered who they thought was the best of the best at that time. And because of that Dream Team skill set, the U.S. dominated, like stomped the opposing players, and we took home the gold. Now, in business, friends, we need a Dream Team. We need people who are world renowned. We need people who you may like, dude, I'm just a small business. I'm starting a grass cutting business. Buddy, I've been in those exact shoes. You need a team of players who you can bounce ideas off of, who you can brainstorm with, who you can get creative solutions. You need a dream team that can help you balance your skills and your weaknesses and your strengths. You need individuals who can help you mentor you. Friends, there's not one person who can do this on their own. I read a study this last week, and in the study they were talking about all the individuals who have coaches, dream teams, if you will. And they had the names like Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and they had, just unbelievable amount of names. Even Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, had a coach. In fact, it's intriguing to me that most of your professional athletes have coaches. These are the best of the best in the world, but yet they have a dream team. They have people who are there to constantly help them improve, to stay top of their game. But yet in the business world, it's not uncommon for me to hear young business advisors, not necessarily by age, but in business say, well, I can't afford this. I don't need this. They're not going to add any value to me. And it's with that ignorant is the word I like to use, an unlearned or uneducated mentality that so many businesses struggle or so many businesses fail. Friends, I'm going to tell you early on that we're going to have to build a dream team. We're going to have to build a team of advisors who can help you be the best of the best. So I want to deal with not the why now, but who are these advisors on your team? To me, one of the most important players is a certified financial planner. A certified financial planner is also referred to as CFP, and I'm going to refer to CFP throughout this podcast, and this stands for a certified financial planner. And many times they act as the captain of the team. They're the person who's going to help you communicate where you're going. Now, my challenge to you is this. The CFPs often have varying license. They work in real estate. They work in mortgages. They work in business acquisitions or business sales. They may have insurance. They may just be investment advisors who just deal with stocks and bonds. But what you're looking for is a certified planner, someone who can plan for you to help you take your business to the next level. You see, the CFP designation has the practice standards that are issued by the board, the CFP board. And in those practice standards, there's a code of conduct. There's a particular pattern or a particular guideline or a particular process that the CFP will follow. And the reason to me why this CFP is so important is because of that, because they're trained to forward think. They're not reactive, and they're not there to prevent injury. They're there to get you to the biggest and the best you can be. The challenge, like I said earlier, is that many CFPs are not business advisors. They are stockbrokers. And that's frustrating for me as a CFP. Your CFP, if you find one that's a business advisor or one that works in business for business owners, then friend, you found a jewel. And there's many of us out there. I know many CFPs nationally who work strictly with business owners. The cool thing about the CFP is that they are a fiduciary. Now, that's a big term that basically means that they're required to act in your best interest. Duh, Justin, I'm paying somebody. Well, you would think that, but many times advisors don't have to. They have to follow certain standards. But with a CFP, they're required to be a fiduciary. They're required to take their knowledge and their education and their experience and act in your best interest. The way I say it in my financially simple mind is if they were in your shoes to make the decisions they would make. That's not the technical term for the fiduciary. That's my financially simple term. I've got a blog post on our website, Financially Simple, that I can link to here that will help you understand specifically what a fiduciary is. But in addition to being a fiduciary, there's actually enforcement. So if a CFP is not following the guidelines set forth by the CFP board, then there's a practice standards that are there to enforce that the conduct is accurate. We have conduct rules that, hey, before you work with somebody, you have to lay out the scope of engagement. You have to have it in writing. You need to show the client exactly what you're going to do for them. You need to have expectations there. You need to have a metric that you can check your guidelines to make sure that you're following the rules set forth. Now, the cool thing about CFPs is that many CFPs are paid fees. That's the way we work. We may charge a flat fee where they say, hey, for this particular year's service, we're going to charge you $3,000 or $5,000. Or they may say, you know what, we're going to charge you an hourly rate. I've seen CFPs who charge $200 an hour all the way up to $400 an hour. Actually, I met one that did $500 an hour. So they may charge an hourly rate. But to me, the CFP is your forward thinker. They're the ones who are going to be there to challenge you in your business plan. They're going to be there to challenge you in the operations of your business. Remember, a business is an asset. And we want that asset to grow as fast as possible. And the CFP is a very good step. Not only are they a good step from the very first person in the sense of that they're helping you plan forward, the second thing is they know the other players on the team to bring forward. So you're going to have other players. And you need somebody oftentimes to help you speak the language of the other players. So we're going to get into those other players. And just remember that as we talk to these other players, every one of them speak a different language. A language that many times business owners, in my experience, get frustrated with because we are so used to speaking financially simple terms. The next player on your team, and this you're going to hire this individual right off the bat, is a certified public accountant or a CPA. So we have a CFP, a certified financial planner, and we have a CPA, a certified public accountant. So now the CPA is going to be the point guard of your team. Remember, the CFP is more like your team captain. They're the ones who are going to help you bring in other people. Well, your CPA is going to be the point guard. And I'm using the basketball analogy through today's podcast because we're talking about the dream team. I mean, you got to go back and watch these guys. They were like amazing in the Olympics. Well, the CPA is going to be your point guard. They're going to be involved in measuring and disclosing, providing financial information. It's their job to look at the numbers that your business is going to produce and then to actually end up filing those and showing the government what you end up producing. Well, like CFPs, CPAs are held to a standard just as well. They actually have a certified accounting board. and their board has governing bodies, just like the CFP does. So you're not dealing with salespeople who are trying to sell you a product. The certified public accountant, the CPA, is going to be the one who you're going to bring in to help you with financial statements. Typically, they're called income statements and balance sheets. So there's two different types. A balance sheet is where your company is at any particular point in time. It's going to show you how many assets you have and how many liabilities you have. It's going to show you what your owner equity is. So that's the balance sheet. And your CPA is there to help you with your balance sheet. Now, your income statement is commonly referred to as a P&L. That's a loose term, but it's really an income statement. And it's going to give you the financial activity over a period of time. So let's dive into those two sheets on and why a CPA is so important. So the balance sheet, as I mentioned, is going to show you how much money you deposit into the company to help you get going. It's going to provide the banker the terms to be able to look and say, hey, here's how much cash I have. Here's how much accounts receivables I have. Or that's money's due from your customers or potential borrowers. It's going to show you your short-term investments. So maybe your company owns things like lands or buildings or machinery or computers. Your balance sheet's going to show you all the assets. It's also going to show you the liabilities. It's going to show you, well, do you owe the government any payroll taxes? Do you owe any short-term loans? Do you owe a supplier any money? Do you owe a bank loan? It's going to reflect all your liabilities. And so your balance sheet is a really quick snapshot on kind of what your book value is worth. Not your company, but the book value is worth. The income statement, like we talked about earlier, the P&L, is going to break out how your company operates. To me, as a planner, I'm the CFP. The P&L is the most important document from a financial perspective because it allows me to see the future on the way you're operating your company. I can look at the income trends inside your P&L and say, based on the activity that you're generating, based on the various numbers, I can look forward and see how your company is going to perform. I can also see where your expenses, where you're spending money on, where you're perhaps wasting money on from the profit and loss statement or from the income statement. And so it allows me, a P&L allows you, the business owner, it allows the CPA to take a snapshot and see if you're being frugal. Ultimately, we're in business to make money. Let's not beat around the bush with that. So many times I hear people say, well, I'm here to help people. Forget that nonsense. I'm not running a not-for-profit. My business is there to make money. Hand over fist. That's my job. That's the business. And if you end up having shareholders or if you have business partners, your job is to make money for the business partners. Your job is to make money for your employees so they have some security in their job. The business is there to make money. And the P&L shows us that. The CPA is also going to provide you cash flow statements. They're going to show you whether or not you should pay dividends or purchase outstanding shares of stock. The CPA is also there to give you audits. In my company, we have to have a balance sheet that goes to the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, on a yearly basis to show here's how many assets and liabilities we have. And our CPA takes care of that for us. They make sure that the numbers are accurate, they've been audited properly, and that they're there and they're accurate. The numbers are accurate. So that leads to the question, well, how are CFPs or certified public accountants paid? Well, CPAs are worth their weight in gold, friend. They're paid $200 to $500 an hour, give or take. That's a national average. And sometimes they may just charge you a flat fee. So I know some CPAs, they'll say, hey, for a business owner, we'll do your payroll, we'll do your books, and we'll do your personal taxes for the business owner and the business taxes for $6,000 a year, $500 a month. And some people are like, man, that's crazy. So many times I feel like these individuals are undervalued. People will run to the attorney, they'll run to the certified financial planner. But when it comes to the CPA, many times we try to use these online softwares like, we're going to file our own taxes and we're going to do our own books. Or, you know what, we're not going to do our own books. We're just going to hold all of our receipts in a shoebox. I did that when I was 16. I actually had all of my receipts in a shoebox in my truck. Friends, you can't tell where you're at in business by running from a shoebox in your truck. I've been there. You can't tell how much money you made that week or how much expenses you had that week. You can't tell when to cut or when to hire or when to fire. You can't tell. CPAs are worth their weight. There's no way I would operate a business without a CPA involved. I don't. I have my own CPA. The guy's awesome. I like him. He's smart. He's funny. He always responds whenever I need him to. Tax season can be a little frustrating because, everybody and their brother is trying to get to him. But for the most part, CPAs are unbelievable. So they're the second member of this dream team. So the first one was a certified financial planner. They're your forward thinker. Your CPA is your number cruncher. They're your point guard.
You are listening to Financially Simple, destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner.
The next member on your team is your center. So this is a big, burly person. This is the person who's there to try to help block shots or try to get the rebounds, right? This person is going to be your attorney. Now, I know attorneys can be frustrating for those of us who've been in business. Whenever I say attorney, I'm talking about a business attorney. I'm not talking about litigators, or I heard someone say, I'm not hiring no ambulance chaser. There's somebody in Kentucky just a few days ago, I ain't hiring no ambulance chaser, son. I'm not talking about an ambulance chaser. I don't even think they're that. I'm talking about a business attorney, an attorney who is there to help you understand the law, help you understand business contracts, to help you make decisions and acting in due diligence for you, with you. An attorney you can speak with on a confidential level. So to me, attorneys are extremely valuable. They come in working with you on estate plan. We talked last episode about estate planning, episode 46, and why estate planning is so important before we ever get into business. The attorney is going to be just that important in business planning. I just worked just this last week. We're hiring a new employee at the office, and I had the attorney work on the employment agreement. You're like, well, Justin, couldn't you do that yourself? Yeah, probably. I could have taken the time and saved a few $100s by trying to do the employment agreement myself. But look, I don't know the law, guys. I am not an attorney. I don't keep track with the legal world and the hiring and firing rules every day. That's not my job. My job is showing business owners how to make money. My job is showing business owners how to build their net worth, how to build a business to sell it. It's not to keep up with Tennessee statutes. So I hire an attorney. I personally do this. I'm writing an invoice out probably for a couple of $1,000s here in the next few weeks for the attorney I hired to do some legal work for us. So how are attorneys paid? Well, they're going to charge you between $200 to $500 an hour, depending on where they're at, depending on their expertise, depending on a number of things. You may end up getting one that charges you per the document or per the job. I like that project because then I'm not worrying about hourly rates. You can be cost a little bit more that way, or you can get a little cheaper. It just depends. So to me, those are your core players. Your CFP, your CPA, and your attorney. The way I describe it in my financially simple mind is the CFP is kind of like the Garmin or the GPS on my phone. Garmin shows my age again. It's the GPS on our phones. They say, hey, I want to drive from Knoxville to Portland. How do I get there? The CPA is like my rearview mirror. They show me where I've been and make sure it's accurate. You know, they're filing my taxes for me. They're doing the books. They're making sure they're accurate. They're helping me with tax planning a little bit. Then the attorney's kind of like the police officer. They're there to make sure I'm not going to speed and make sure I'm going to get there safe. You know, the police officer is not our enemy, friends. We know that. Just like the attorney's not. They're there to keep us safe. And then we do get into trouble. The first person we're going to call on is that attorney. First person we're going to call on if we get in trouble, get in a wreck, we're going to call the police. We need somebody to help us. That's the core team that we have there. And friends, if you can get the CFP, the CPA, and the attorney working together, oh my, just like that dream team from the Olympics, you could end up having some people just wanting to watch the magic work. We all think differently. I am not an attorney and I'm not a CPA. I think totally differently in those professions. They're not a CFP. They think differently than I do. But whenever we put our minds together, those particular professions are vital to each other. You have your tax, your legal, and your planning all wrapped up together, and all of us overlap a little bit. I know tax, I know legal, but I don't practice tax and legal. They know planning, but they don't practice planning. They know how to grow business, but they don't practice that. That's not where their expertise are. So to me, those are your key players. But there's some other players on the team that we have to have. We have to have a good insurance agent. We have to. The insurance agent, to me, on the dream team, these are like your power forward. They're blocking for you. They're the ones who are running down the field, creating the hole for you to follow them in. In football, we would run behind the big guy, right? They'd make a hole for us. In basketball, this is your power forward. They're running through, right? An insurance agent, they're dealing with business owners day in, day out. They know the risk that we deal with. I'll give you an example. Cybersecurity is now an old term, but I remember the first time I heard that, my insurance agent brought it up to me. Now, I'm a CFP. I'm supposed to be the planner. I'm supposed to know how to plan for risk. I didn't know this one. The insurance agent and I were doing my annual review, and I do an annual review on all my insurances. This is a policy that I follow personally. I ask all my clients to do the same thing. So I'm a practice what you preach guy. When I was doing an annual review, and my insurance agent said, Justin, with the business that you're in, you may want to think about some cybersecurity risk. And I'm like, what in the world is cybersecurity? He told me. I was like, man, I don't know. He said, Justin, you've always trusted me. Just trust me. I said, you're not trying to sell me. No, I'm not trying to sell. You know me. He calls me sorry bum. He said, you know me, you're sorry bum. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to keep you safe. The very next week after I put that cybersecurity on our coverage, it protected us. It was unbelievable. It wasn't anything major, but it was the way that the technology dealt with it at the time. It protected us in that particular area. So an insurance agent is there to help us. They can do risk assessments for you. They can make sure that you're properly covered. They can look at where your risks are and make sure you're covered for those. Now, insurance agents are typically paid a commission. I'm not going to move around that. That's just the way their industry works. They're going to pay a commission off the products they sell. That's how they get paid. They are not a fiduciary. Like your attorney, your CPA, and your CFP, they're not a fiduciary. They're there for a vital team. Another player in your team, these are your small forwards. They're your bankers and your lenders. And we spoke with Jonathan Patrick, who is not currently a banker, but he is a banking wizard. He's actually a consultant to banks. So we spoke to him in our interview, and we were talking about how banks view us. Banks are not your enemy. Now, to me, sometimes I think they are because many times they want to push high loan amounts, and I hate debt. Banks provide us lending. They give us loans. They provide us mortgages. They provide us business equity. They help us throughout a number of ways. So banks are also a player on your dream team. The next one is the business coach. You know, the business coach can be one of these individuals. I know there are CFPs who act as business coaches. We coach a number of our clients. I have a number of clients that I say, hey guys, we need to hire a business coach to help you specifically. We have manufacturing facilities that I get Six Sigma type instructors to come in and help. They're specific with how to make the manufacturing facility run efficiently. In small business, though, your CPA can act as a business coach to you. You can hire a CPA. You're already working with them. Here's what's interesting, though. People often say, well, I don't need a coach. You know, Michael Phelps has a coach. His name is Bob Bowman. Michael Phelps could have been successful without Bowman. But there's probably a good point that Michael would not have received 23 gold medals. Think about that. This is one of the best swimmers of all times, Michael Phelps. Yet he has a coach. We've already talked about earlier that Steve Jobs had a coach. We already know that Elon Musk has a coach. Bill Gates has a coach. Why do they have these coaches? Well, because they can help us and they can see where we're going. So friends, now's the time to start building a dream team. And you know the players of the dream team. We have them here. We have the CFP, the CPA, the attorney, the insurance agent, the banker, and the business coach. Those are your key players for your business. You're like, well, Justin, where do I find these people? If I'm starting a business today, I'm going to start with hiring the CFP. And the CFP knows good CPAs, they know good attorneys, they know good insurance agents, and they know good bankers. You say, well, Justin, I don't know a good CPA, but I know a good banker. Great. Talk to your banker. Any of those players on the team can help you. To me, though, the planner is the one who can make sure that your team matches your plans. So, guys, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining me on the Financially Simple podcast. As always, the show notes and links for today's podcast can be found on financiallysimple.com under the heading podcasts. Hey, while you're on the blog, sign up for our weekly newsletter. Every week, I'm releasing tax tips, business tips, wealth management tips, and so much more. If you like the show, please subscribe. Share the podcast with other business owners. And like I say every week, life is hard, life is good, and life can be frustrating. Money doesn't have to be. Let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Hey, y'all make it a great day.
You have been listening to the Financially Simple podcast. The information in this show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor.